Hello and welcome to what we're hoping to be the first of many of these video podcasts here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. My name is Jay DeMayo. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about a case study we ran here with some incoming college basketball players at the institution I work at. What we're trying to do with this presentation, guys, is hopefully give a new direction with how we talk about training and things of that nature. Because what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about why we do what we do, so kind of how I came up with the methods that I utilized, what we do and what we did in this situation, and the results we achieved based on those. Now, we're going to have a second presentation. So part two of this is going to be the likes and dislikes, and then the things that we're going to change, the new directions that we're going to go based on what we've seen here. The main reason for this, guys, is because, more often than not, people want to talk about, well, you need to do exercise X and you're going to get better at Y. But all too often, we really don't talk about, well, team did exercise X and then exhibited Y quality at a greater extent, and this is how much better they got at it. So we're going to actually talk about results. We're going to talk befores, we're going to talk afters, and we're going to try to figure out better ways to skin the cat, so to speak. So let's talk about what we were working with in this situation. Again, it was just a small group of guys. We started with 5. I finished with 3. Now, I can't discuss the reasons why, but I will just leave it at this. They did not leave the study due to injury. Everything else can be kind of taken as is. As a walk-on, a transfer kid, and 3 scholarship kids. One player was getting 20 minutes-ish, maybe a little more a game. Another was somewhere in the area of 3, and 3 kids didn't play. It was 2 Caucasians, 3 African Americans to start, and 1 and 2 at the end. And let's just say these kids were middle-level athletes at best. And this is, everybody likes to talk about classifying athletes as whether it be preparedness or level of performance or whatever it is. And this is a great little diagram, and we got it from this book right here, Developing Sport Expertise, which if you don't have it, I couldn't recommend it enough to you. But if you look at this, you can see that the whole process is like a barrel, and you start in the beginning, and everything's kind of the same size. All of your athletic factors, as they call them there. But as you move more towards the elite level, your sport-specific skills, your psychological attributes, and your physical capacity are the things that seem to take over the most, which follows what Val has talked about, where the 3 most important things with the athlete are skill, your technical, tactical abilities, and then physical preparation third. So now let's talk about what we had and where we were starting. And as you can see, these numbers aren't anything to be totally excited about. They're not awful, but they're not great. So you can review those quick. If you want to really take a look, you can go ahead and pause it and read them all. But I'm not going to read each number to you guys and insult your intelligence. You can see them right here. But if you look through them, it's pretty safe to say that we're probably in this non-elite, pre-elite area if you look at it based on the barrel, or a middle-level athlete has been classified in the past. So what is it that we do here? Well, a lot of my training has been influenced by these 2 gentlemen right here. The one on the right side of your screen is Joseph Johnson of Ultimate Athlete Concepts. Joseph not only just puts out fantastic work, and you can buy most of it through this site, he also has really been influential in helping me to kind of understand better the teachings of the guy on my left, which is Dr. Yesus. And Doc's methods are tried and true. They've really survived the test of time. And there's a lot of things that people don't understand about the methods for one reason or another. And it's unfortunate. And we'll get into more of that later. But really a big part of what he talks about you can find in his newest book, The Revolutionary 1x20 RM Strength Training Program. And there's a little more to it than just being 1 set of 20 reps. But really, the big thing that we take from Doc is You're teaching skills. Everything's a skill. Technique is the most important part. We need to get good at the technique, and the strength piggybacks the technique, and that's how we get better. Um, Side note, this is a fantastic book, and if you really do want to understand more of where we're coming from, I would highly recommend it. I do sell it on my site. Doc sells it on his. I bet you can get it on Amazon too. So I really would recommend reading this. It's fantastic. When we get outside of just the strength training aspect, Natalia Verkhoshansky, to the left of the picture here, has helped me in ways that I can't even explain. Beyond being the sweetest woman that I've ever met, she's also the daughter of Dr. Yuri Verkhoshansky, and she takes it very seriously to continue the teachings and the things that her father studied, and she's been really great with helping us to understand his life's work and really the entire jumping progression that her father developed or put together, however you want to say it. And this stuff is fantastic, and it's worked great with our kids. And that great-looking guy to the right side of your picture is the Henk Kragenhoff. Beyond being the nicest guy in all of coaching, Hank's really, really smart. He's really well educated. He's an awesome guy whose insight and mind and how he looks at training has really helped me kind of take a step back and see what we're doing and really kind of refocus what the whole programming aspect we utilize is. So, other than just showing you these great people, what does this all mean? So, if we start with just the lifting aspect of it, we're looking at the first phase is 1x20, the second is 1x14. The third is the only time we typically do 2 sets, and that's a set of 14 and a set of 8, and then we do 1 set of 8. There are some exercises we'll execute 1 set of 10. The jumps will follow, mostly the progression from Dr. Verkhoshansky. And we monitor the dose. We're really lucky to be able to have these great technologies here that we can look at how these kids are adapting. But really, it follows the same things that these guys have talked about. When you talk to Hank, and he's mentioned it a billion times, give them what they need, not what they can handle. I mean, the ability to just push someone to be able to handle more, that's great. But what exactly do they need to elicit the adaptation required? Well, as Joseph would like to say, if you're sick, they're not going to give you chemo for a cold. They're going to give you Robitussin. So giving them, as we now like to say, the optimal dose is what's important. And as Matt Tomey from Michigan Tech said up in Minnesota this year, is, he asked everybody, how do you know you're not doing too much if you've never done too little? And I think that's interesting because I would be very, very interested to see if anyone has ever really undertrained athletes. I think that we get a little nervous and we want to push them more and more and more and more and more to do more and more and more and more and load them higher and heavier and for more volume because they can handle it. And I almost wonder if we kept backing down, if we'd ever really find that undertrained situation. And when we look at how we progress, what we want to do is we want to empty the clip before we reload the gun. So we want to keep in the 20s or keep with specific exercises, rep ranges, intensities, whatever it may be, as long as they're improving. So how we monitor them is very important in that. So what exactly did we do? It's, again, I'm not going to totally read through this step by step. I'm going to kind of breeze through it quick. If you would like to take a better look at it, you can pause it and go that way. The one thing I will say is if you look down at the bottom with the Tuesday, Thursday conditioning stuff, because this was in January, February, March, we're looking at this as all court runs. So, it was just the length of the court for the tempo work. And we only did this through the next phase, and then we stopped because the kids... with travel and all the extra work, we decided that was the one thing we would take out. But, just a simple active dynamic warm up, and then we get into the running exercises. Um, we didn't do as much cutting technique work as I would like. That was more of a time situation thing. We get into some of the specialized work that Dr. Yeses talks about, and then we start right away with the jump progression, which is really kind of a combination of what Doc and Joseph talk about and what Natalia has taught us. After that, we get into one exercise for just about every major joint action of the body for a set of 20. In the ab work, we work up to 50. And then we get into the 14s where it's all pretty much the same. The jumps intensify a little more. Again, these first couple of weeks for the last couple of the running, it'll stay in the rest of the way. I just didn't print it out, but I didn't cut it out of the worksheet. And then we get into the 14 and the 8s, and this is where we split in upper and lower because it starts to become a little more intense, more so with the jumps, and we're lifting heavier weights. So we're lifting 2 days lower, 2 days upper. And again, just a reminder that conditioning stuff is all kaputski. And then we get to the 8s. If we go back a couple slides, so this was almost duplicated twice. The jumps ended out going a little longer. There were some changes, but you can really pick up on the connection going from there to here. And then the 8s, what we were hoping to do was have a second week of these, or excuse me, a second cycle of these, but we had to cut the study a little short. So what did we see? So we went from the numbers that we saw before, and here's a few examples of the improvements that we saw. We had around a 1/10 average improvement in the foul line to foul line sprint, which is roughly a 20-yard dash. So that's pretty good. I was really pleased with that. And then our vertical, as we progressed through, went up a little over 4.5 inches for the 4 guys. And then when we got here, we got up about 6 inches on the max vertical, which, if you've seen the NBA Combine, that's some people would call it an approach jump. Really, they can run as far as they want, and they just jump up as high as they can. Then we get into the strength tests, and, because a lot of people, when they see this program, they think, well, these kids aren't going to get stronger. I think they did. I mean, it's pretty obvious they did. They did really well with these, and I was really pleased with these. When we're looking, 75, 70, and 40 pounds in the squat, and then 15, 20, and 20 in the bench. Again, this is 11 weeks. I was really pleased with this from these kids. I thought they did great. I can put the other numbers up just for time constraints. I don't want this to be too long. We're going to leave those as the 4 we give out now. If you guys want the rest of them, I'll put them in part 2. But when you come back in part 2, we're going to talk about the things that we really liked, the things that we didn't really like, and we're going to talk about a few other things that we're going to change and how we're going to progress. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to check this out. If you liked it, please share it. Please let people know about what we're trying to do here. And yeah, I hope you guys come back and check out the second one. Appreciate you taking the time, and we will talk soon.